Listen, I need to tell you about the day everything went absolutely, catastrophically wrong at the Galactic Peace Summit. And by wrong, I mean hilariously, terrifyingly, unbelievably wrong. My name is Krell, and I am, or rather was, the Chief Security Director for the Vorten Empire. Notice I said was, yeah. That is going to make sense in a minute. So, the year was 2847 by human reckoning, though we obviously did not use their primitive calendar system. The Galactic Council had finally, after 300 cycles of bitter warfare, convinced the major powers to sit down and negotiate. But the Vortens, my people. The insectoid Claith Collective. The the mineral-based Shreen Confederacy. And about 15 other species who frankly were not important enough to matter but showed up anyway because free food and diplomatic immunity. You know who was not invited? Humans. There was a very good reason for that. Humans were, how do I put this delicately, the galactic equivalent of that one cousin nobody wants at the family reunion. The one who shows up drunk, starts 3 fights, somehow wins all of them, then leaves with half the silverware and your daughter's phone number. They had been confined to their little corner of the galaxy for the past 70 years after the incident. You know the one I mean. The one where they turned an entire Clath invasion fleet into what they charmingly called scrap metal fireworks using nothing but modified mining equipment and what I can only describe as weaponized audacity. The peace talks were happening on Station Harmony. Stupid name, I know. The Council loved their symbolic nonsense. It was a massive diplomatic platform floating in neutral space, specifically designed for high-level negotiations. 73 levels. 5,000 rooms. Defense systems that could withstand a direct hit from a planet killer. Or so we thought. I was in charge of security, which meant I had approximately 6,000 things to worry about at any given moment. Assassins. Saboteurs. Food poisoning. Delegates who could not stop insulting each other long enough to breathe. The Clath ambassador had a particular talent for that. His name was Thrix, and he had the personality of a malfunctioning waste disposal unit. Day 1 of the summit went smoothly. Too smoothly. I should have known something was wrong. The delegates actually sat down. They actually talked. Nobody died. In diplomatic terms, this was basically a miracle. Day 2, things got tense. The Shreen representative, a floating mass of sentient minerals named Chorus, had some very strong opinions about territorial boundaries. The Vortens, led by High Chancellor Vex, disagreed. Violently. Well, verbally violently, but with Vortens, that is basically the same thing. Our species does not really do subtle. I was monitoring everything from the security center on level 40, walls covered in displays, every corridor, every room. Every single person on that station was being watched. My team of 30 security specialists were the best in the sector. We had protocols for everything, literally everything, except apparently for what happened next. It was during the 3rd session on day 3. All the major delegates were in the Grand Hall, arguing about mining rights in the Outer Rim. Boring stuff. I was half watching, half reviewing the evening's patrol schedules when one of my officers, a young Vorten named Kelm, suddenly went very still. "Sir," he said, and his voice had that particular quality that security personnel develop when something has gone catastrophically wrong but they are trying not to panic. "We have a problem." I looked up. Define problem. "There is a ship approaching the station." "So?" "We have ships approaching constantly. Escorts, supply runs. That is literally normal, sir." Kelm's tentacles, all 6 of them, were rigid with stress. "This ship is not on the approved list. It is not responding to hails. And it is definitely, absolutely, completely not supposed to be here." I pulled up the display. There it was. Small vessel, human design by the looks of it, approaching the station at a leisurely pace. And not hostile, not aggressive, just casually flying toward the most secure diplomatic platform in the galaxy like it was stopping by for coffee. "Activate defense grid," I ordered. "Send a priority hail." If they do not respond in 30 seconds, we disable their engines. The weapons officer, a nervous clath named Six, worked the controls. Hail sent. No response. They are still approaching. Sir, they are broadcasting something. What kind of something? A message. Text only. It says, Six paused, his antennae twitching. It says, hey there. Got your address from a friend. Hope you do not mind me dropping by. I brought snacks. I stared at the screen. What? That is what it says, sir. Who is on that ship? Six ran the scan. One life sign. Human, male. Age approximately 40 by their standards. No weapons detected on initial scan, but what? What? Sir, humans are really good at hiding weapons. Remember the incident? Oh, I remembered. Everyone remembered. 3 human freighters had somehow sneaked enough explosive material past Clath security to turn their flagship into a light show visible from 3 systems away. The official investigation concluded that humans had a natural talent for creative violence that bordered on supernatural. Disable their engines, I ordered. Do it now. The weapons officer fired. A focused electromagnetic pulse, carefully calibrated to fry the ship's propulsion systems without harming the occupant. We were professionals. We did not just blow people up, usually. The pulse hit the human ship dead center. The ship kept coming. Sir, the pulse had no effect, Six reported, his voice climbing an octave. What do you mean, no effect? That was a full power discharge. I mean, their engines are still functioning normally. In fact, they are accelerating. Impossible. Those settings would shut down a battle cruiser. I am aware, sir. I am also aware that it is not working. I watched the ship close the distance. 2 kilometers. 1 kilometer. 500 meters. All weapons. Fire at will. Disable that vessel. Every defensive turret on the station opened fire. Plasma cannons. Kinetic rounds. Electromagnetic disruptors. Enough firepower to reduce a small moon to dust. The human ship dodged. I am not talking about careful evasive maneuvers. I am talking about movements that should not be physically possible. It twisted. It spun. It somehow slipped through a barrage that should have turned it into atoms, and then it did something that made my 3 hearts skip simultaneously. It landed in our primary docking bay. Security teams to docking bay 1, I shouted into the comm. Full tactical response. Assume hostile contact. Do not let anyone off that ship. I ran. Not dignified for a chief security director, but dignity goes out the airlock when a random human crashes your peace summit. My office was on level 40. The docking bay was on level 3. I took the emergency lift, which moved fast enough to make my stomach reconsider my lunch. By the time I got there, 20 security personnel had surrounded the ship, weapons drawn. Shields active. Standard hostile contact formation. The ship was small, maybe 20 meters long. Old design. Patchwork hull plating. It looked like something held together with spare parts and optimism. There was a symbol painted on the side. A human word. I ran it through my translator. Peacemaker. Peacemaker. The irony was not lost on me. The airlock opened. My security team tensed. Weapons hummed. Fingers, claws, and tentacles hovered over triggers. A human stepped out. He was tall, even by human standards. Maybe 1.9 meters. Brown skin. Short black hair graying at the temples. He wore casual clothing. Pants. Jacket. Boots that had seen better decades. Armor. No visible weapons. He had a bag slung over one shoulder and the kind of relaxed posture that suggested either supreme confidence or a complete lack of survival instinct. Knowing humans, probably both. He looked around at the 20 armed guards pointing weapons at him, smiled, and raised both hands in what I recognized as a human peaceful gesture. "Afternoon, folks," he said, his voice calm and pleasant. "Name is Marcus Cole. I am here for the peace talks." Thrix, the Clath ambassador, had been alerted to the security situation and arrived just in time to hear that statement. He clicked his mandibles in what I knew was amusement. "You are not invited, human," Thrix said, his voice dripping with contempt. "This summit is for recognized galactic powers. Your species is confined to your territory under the Treaty of Orion." Marcus looked at him. Just looked. There was something in his eyes, something that made my combat instincts start screaming warnings. "Yeah," Marcus said slowly. "About that treaty. See, I have some concerns. Thought I would come discuss them, face to face. Like civilized folks." "You crashed a secured diplomatic station," I said, stepping forward. "You ignored hails. You evaded our defense systems. You are, by every legal definition, committing an act of aggression." Marcus turned to me. "You must be Krell, Chief of Security. Good to meet you. Sorry about the dramatic entrance. Your communication systems were not accepting my requests, so I figured I would just show up. Sometimes it is easier to ask forgiveness than permission, you know." "How do you know my name?" "Oh, I did my homework. Read all the briefing documents. Studied the guest list. Learned about everyone attending. You have an impressive career, by the way. That operation on Vexos Prime? Brilliant work." I did not know whether to be flattered or terrified. "You should not have access to classified briefing documents." "Probably not," Marcus agreed cheerfully. "But here we are." High Chancellor Vex arrived, flanked by guards. She was not happy. Vex was never happy. But this was a special level of unhappy. Her scales had turned a deep purple that indicated extreme displeasure. "Human," she said, her voice like grinding stone. "Explain your presence immediately, or you will be removed. Forcibly." Marcus set his bag down slowly, keeping his hands visible. "Chancellor, honor to meet you. I understand you are frustrated." "I get it. I show up uninvited. That is rude. But here is the thing." He looked around at all of us. "You are having peace talks about territories that include human space, and we were not invited to the conversation. That seems like a pretty big oversight, don't you think?" "Human space is restricted," Thrix said. "By treaty. By law. By the unanimous decision of this council. You have no voice here." "Restricted because we defended ourselves." Marcus's tone stayed pleasant, but there was an edge now. "Because when you tried to expand into our systems, we said no." "Because we fought back when the Clath decided humans looked like easy prey." Thrix's mandibles clacked angrily. "Your species destroyed an entire fleet with civilian vessels. That was a violation of every rule of warfare." "Rules you wrote?" Marcus said. "Rules you expected us to follow while you invaded our homes." Funny how that works. The tension in the docking bay was thick enough to cut. My security team was getting nervous. I could see it in their postures. Nobody wanted to start a firefight with a human, especially after the stories we had all heard. "This is not the forum for these grievances," Vex said coldly. "You will return to your vessel and depart immediately." "Or what?" Marcus asked, and his smile was gone now. "You will shoot me? Start a war over one unarmed man who came here to talk? That would look great in the historical records. Real good advertisement for your peace summit." He had a point. Killing him would be catastrophic politically. But letting him stay set a terrible precedent. Chorus, the Shreen representative, floated forward. Their crystalline structure, their mineral structure, pulsed with light as they communicated. Perhaps we should hear what the human has to say. If he came all this way, his message must be important. To him, at least. "Absolutely not," Thrix said. "We cannot allow—" "Allow what?" Marcus interrupted. "Someone to participate in decisions that affect their entire species." "Yeah, that would be crazy. Democracy, representation, basic rights. Who needs those, right?" "You are not a recognized delegate," I said, trying to be the voice of reason. "You have no official standing. This summit has rules." "Rules that excluded us," Marcus said. Rules written by the people who tried to conquer us. You will forgive me if I am not super respectful of those rules. X's purple scales darkened further. If we allow you to stay, every discontented faction in the galaxy will think they can simply arrive uninvited and demand audience. Marcus picked up his bag. For a second, every weapon in the bay tracked him. He noticed but did not seem concerned. He unzipped the bag and pulled out a small container. "Cookies," he said, holding it up. "Chocolate chip. Made them myself. Peace offering. Traditional human gesture. You folks probably do not have these. Try one. They are good." Nobody moved. Marcus shrugged, opened the container, and took a cookie. He ate it, chewed, swallowed. "See? Not poisoned. Just cookies." "Sixk," the Clath officer leaned toward me. "Sir, what do we do?" Good question. I had trained for assassinations, terrorist attacks, diplomatic incidents. Nobody had prepared me for a human showing up with homemade baked goods and a complete disregard for protocol. "We are bringing this to the full council," Vex decided. "They will determine how to handle this situation. Until then, the human will be detained." "Detained?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "That seems hostile." "You are an uninvited intruder on a secure facility," Vex said. "Detained is generous. The alternative is airlocked." Marcus considered that. "Fair point." "Okay, I will cooperate. But I want to address the council. That is why I am here. Let me make my case. If they vote to kick me out, I will leave peacefully. Deal? Deal?" Vex looked at me. I looked at Thrix. Thrix looked at Chorus. Nobody wanted to make this decision. "The council will convene in 1 hour," Vex finally said. "You will be held in a secure room until then. Any attempt to escape will be met with lethal force." "Understood," Marcus said. He left the cookies on a nearby crate. "Help yourselves. Seriously. They are really good." We escorted him to a holding room on level 20. Standard diplomatic detention. Comfortable, but secure. Force field door. Monitored constantly. No way out. Marcus sat down on the bed, completely relaxed. "Nice room. You folks have good taste in furniture." I stood outside the force field. "What are you really doing here, human?" He looked up at me. Exactly what I said. Talking. That is all. Nobody flies through a military blockade just to talk. "Your blockade was not that impressive," Marcus said. "No offense. Good equipment, decent tactics, but predictable. You rely too much on automated systems. Humans are better at chaos. We think on our feet. That ship of yours. How did it evade our weapons?" Marcus grinned. "Trade secret. But between you and me, lots of practice and a really good pilot. You flew through that barrage yourself? Who else would?" I studied him. "You are either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid." "Why not both?" Marcus leaned back against the wall. "Look, Krell, I know you are just doing your job. I respect that. But here is the truth. This peace summit, it is not going to work. Not without human input. Because every agreement you make affects us, and if we are not part of the conversation, we are not going to honor the results." "That sounds like a threat." "It is a fact. You cannot make decisions about our territory without consulting us. That is not how this works. Your territory is restricted. You broke galactic law during the war." Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. "We defended ourselves with mining equipment and cargo haulers against a professional military fleet, and we won. That is not breaking law. That is survival. You could have surrendered. And been subjugated? No thanks. Humans have a long history with that kind of thing. It never goes well. We prefer to stay free." The way he said it, casual but absolutely certain, sent a chill through me. This was not bravado. This was a statement of fact. Humans would rather die fighting than live under someone else's control. The council will never accept you, I said quietly. Maybe not, but they will hear me, and that is a start. I left him there and headed to the council chamber. The emergency session was already underway. All the delegates, including several who had been sleeping or eating or doing whatever species-specific relaxation they preferred, were present. The mood was angry. "This is unprecedented," someone was saying, a representative from the Taldex Combine. "We cannot allow random individuals to crash diplomatic summits." "He is not random," Chorus said, their voice like chimes. "He is human, and he raises a valid point. We are discussing matters that directly affect his species. His species is confined for good reason." Thrix snapped. "They are dangerous, unpredictable. They refuse to follow established norms. They won a war against superior forces," Chorus countered. "Perhaps that makes them worthy of respect, not confinement." The argument went back and forth. Some delegates wanted Marcus arrested and removed immediately. Others, surprisingly, wanted to hear him out. Rex remained neutral, which for her was basically a miracle of diplomacy. Finally, after an hour of debate, they voted. 15 to 12. Narrow margin. But the decision was made. Marcus Cole would address the Galactic Council. I returned to the holding room to deliver the news. Marcus was exactly where I had left him, looking completely unconcerned. "Good news," I said. "The Council has agreed to hear you. Bad news. If they do not like what you say, you are leaving in a body bag." Marcus stood up, stretching. "Better than I expected, honestly." "When do we start?" "Now. Now." We walked through the corridors of Station Harmony, Marcus in front, surrounded by armed guards. People, and I use that term loosely since half of them were not even vaguely humanoid, stopped to stare. Word had spread fast. A human. Here. Uninvited. The Grand Hall was impressive. I will give the Council credit for that. Massive chamber. Vaulted ceiling. Seats arranged in a perfect circle because symbolism. Every major species represented. Hundreds of delegates and observers. Marcus walked to the center of the circle. No podium, no notes. Just him, standing there, looking around at the assembled powers of the galaxy. Vex spoke first. "Marcus Cole, human. You have demanded audience with this council. You have been granted 15 minutes to state your case. After that, we will decide your fate. Speak." Marcus nodded. He took a breath. And then he started talking, and I realized with growing horror that this human had not come here to beg for inclusion. He had come here to win. Marcus Cole stood in the center of the Grand Hall, and I swear on my ancestors, the atmosphere changed. It was like watching a predator assess its territory. He looked at each delegate, made eye contact. Some of them shifted uncomfortably. Humans have this thing they do with eye contact. It is not aggressive, not exactly. But it is intense in a way that makes your survival instincts wake up and start paying attention. "Thank you for seeing me," Marcus began, his voice carrying easily through the chamber. "I know I crashed your party. That was rude. But sometimes rude is necessary when polite gets you ignored for 70 years. Thrix clicked his mandibles. "You have 14 minutes remaining. I suggest you use them wisely." "Right. Straight to business. I like that." Marcus clasped his hands behind his back. "You are all here trying to negotiate peace. Borders, trade routes, resource allocation, standard diplomatic stuff. And somewhere in those negotiations, probably buried in subsection 47 of the territorial agreements, you have decided what to do with human space, without asking us, without including us, without even considering that we might have opinions about our own future. Your opinions are irrelevant," a delegate from the Myran sovereignty said. Her name was Kestra, and she had the temperament of a malfunctioning reactor. "Your species violated the accords of warfare. You used civilian vessels as weapons. You destroyed a military fleet with mining equipment. These actions placed you outside civilized society. Marcus turned to face her. Mining equipment. Let me tell you about that mining equipment. Do you know what a Becker-class asteroid processor does? It is designed to break apart rocks the size of cities. It uses focused plasma cutters hot enough to slice through solid iron like it is air. And when your friends in the class collective decided to invade our system with a fleet of warships, we did not have warships to fight back. We had mining ships, cargo haulers, transport vessels. So we used what we had. That does not excuse the violation, Kestra said. Violation of what? Marcus's voice got harder. Rules written by people who had never faced extinction, laws created by species with massive militaries who could afford to fight nice and clean. You want to know why we used mining ships? Because you, all of you, had decided we were not allowed to have real weapons. The Treaty of Orion. Remember? Humans were restricted to defensive systems only. No capital ships, no fleet actions, just defense satellites and prayers. Thrix stood up. Those restrictions were necessary after the Proxima incident. Oh, the Proxima incident. Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. You mean when 3 human colonies defended themselves against Clath raiders, and you decided that meant we were too aggressive? When your people attacked our settlements, killed our citizens, and we fought back? That incident? You destroyed 6 Clath vessels, Thrix said coldly. They destroyed 2 of our colonies first. Marcus shot back. 3,000 people. Dead. But I guess that does not count, right? Because they were just humans. Just the new species. The primitives who did not understand how things worked. The chamber went silent. I watched the delegates. Some looked uncomfortable, others angry. A few, like Chorus, seemed thoughtful. Beck spoke, her voice measured. The past cannot be changed. We are here to build a future. Your grievances, while noted, do not grant you authority to interrupt a sanctioned summit. You are right, Marcus said, and his tone shifted. Calmer now, more reasonable. The past cannot be changed, but it can inform the future. And here is what the past tells us. Every single time there has been a conflict between humans and anyone else in this galaxy, we have won. Not because we are stronger, and not because we are smarter, but because we refuse to lose. We adapt, we improvise, we do whatever it takes to survive. That scares you. I get it. But locking us away and pretending we do not exist is not a solution. It is just delayed disaster. Is that a threat? Someone asked. I could not see who. Too many delegates talking at once now. No, Marcus said firmly. It is a warning. And there is a difference. A threat is saying, I will hurt you. A warning is saying, if you keep doing this, someone will get hurt, and I would really prefer that did not happen. Sixk, who was standing near me, whispered, he is good at this. He was. Infuriatingly good. Marcus had walked into a room full of species who hated or feared humanity, and somehow he was making them listen. Here is what I propose, Marcus continued. You include humanity in these talks. Give us a seat at the table. Let us participate in decisions that affect our territory. In return, we agree to abide by whatever agreements are reached, treaties, trade deals, border demarcations, all of it. We become part of the system instead of outsiders looking in. And if we refuse? Kestra demanded. Marcus shrugged. Then we ignore whatever you decide. We continue doing what we have been doing. Defending our space, building our colonies, trading with whoever will trade with us. And when your carefully negotiated agreements start falling apart because one species is not following the rules, you will have no one to blame but yourselves. Thrix was on his feet again. You cannot simply demand inclusion. The Council has procedures, applications, reviews. Your species has not even submitted the required documentation. I have it right here, Marcus said. He reached into his jacket. Every weapon in the room swung toward him. I saw at least 40 different firearms, energy weapons, and things I could not identify all lock onto the human. Marcus froze. Slowly, very slowly, he pulled out a data tablet. Just a tablet. See? No weapons. Just paperwork. Because apparently, even when you crash a peace summit, you still need to fill out forms. He held up the tablet. Application for council membership. Submitted by the Unified Human Government. Signed by our Chancellor. All 273 pages of required documentation. It took 6 months to compile. Submitted 9 months ago through proper channels. Never acknowledged. Never reviewed. Just ignored. He tossed the tablet to Vex. She caught it, looked at the display, and her scales shifted to a lighter purple. Surprise. This application was received, she said slowly. I see the timestamp. Why was I not informed? Thrix's mandibles stopped clicking. That was never a good sign with Clath. It meant they were either very happy or very unhappy, and given the context, I knew which one. The application was deemed incomplete, Thrix said. Really? Marcus tilted his head. Which section was incomplete? The economic disclosures were insufficient. Page 173 through 221, Marcus said immediately. Full economic reports. GDP. Trade volumes. Resource inventories. Everything your regulations require. What else? Thrix was silent. He blocked the application, Chorus said, their voice ringing through the chamber. Ambassador Thrix, you received this document and suppressed it. I acted within my authority, Thrix said, his voice defensive now. The Clath Collective has veto power over membership applications. We exercised that power. Without bringing it to the council, Vex said, and now her scales were darkening again. Anger. Without discussion. Without vote. You unilaterally rejected a formal application and failed to report it. The humans are dangerous, Thrix said. Everyone knows this. I was protecting the council. And from what? Marcus asked. From having to admit that you are scared of us? From acknowledging that your invasion failed and you lost? Friends, from dealing with us as equals instead of threats? Thrix rounded on him. Your species destroyed an entire fleet. 600 ships. 40,000 Clath warriors. In less than 7 hours. You turned war vessels into debris using civilian equipment. And you expect us to welcome you with open arms? I expect you to acknowledge reality, Marcus said, which is that we are here. We are not going anywhere. And you can either work with us or keep pretending we do not exist until something really bad happens. What do you mean by something really bad? I asked. Could not help myself. The way he said it made my combat training start screaming warnings again. Marcus looked at me. There are approximately 40 billion humans in our territory. We have 218 colony worlds, 15 major shipyards, and a population that has spent 70 years learning how to survive without your help. We have developed technologies you do not have, tactics you have never seen, and a cultural mindset that values freedom above literally everything else. Now we want peace. We want cooperation. We want to be part of the galactic community. But if you force us to remain isolated, if you keep treating us like criminals for defending ourselves, eventually someone in human space is going to decide that maybe we should not be playing defense anymore. Maybe we should remind the galaxy why you were scared of us in the first place. The silence that followed was absolute. You could have heard a molecule move. That sounds very much like a threat, Kestra said quietly. It is a fact, Marcus replied. I am not threatening you. I am telling you what will happen if this situation continues. There are people in my government who think I am wasting my time here, who think diplomacy is pointless, who want to start building a real military and show you what humans can do when we stop holding back. I am here because I disagree with them. I think we can find a better way. But I am one voice. And if I go back to human space and tell them that the Galactic Council refused to even consider our application, that we were excluded again, that nothing has changed, well, those other voices get a lot louder. And trust me when I say you do not want that. Vex set down the tablet. This council needs to discuss this matter in private. Marcus Cole, you will return to the holding area. We will deliberate and render a decision. How long will that take? Marcus asked. As long as necessary. Fair enough. Marcus started walking toward the exit, then stopped. Turned around. One more thing. Those cookies I brought? They are a traditional human peace offering. In our culture, sharing food means you are willing to talk, to find common ground, to see each other as people instead of enemies. I hope you will try them. Because whether you admit us to this council or not, we are going to keep trying to reach out, keep trying to build bridges. That is what humans do. We survive, we adapt, and we never ever stop hoping that tomorrow can be better than today. He left. The guards escorted him out, and the entire grand hall exploded into argument. I have been in war rooms during active battles that were quieter. Delegates were shouting. Some wanted Marcus arrested for threatening the council. Others wanted Thrix censured for suppressing the application. A few, surprisingly, were arguing that maybe the human had a point. X was trying to restore order. She had about as much success as trying to stop a supernova with a fan. I slipped out and headed back to the holding area. Marcus was sitting on the bed again, looking completely calm. That went well, he said when he saw me. You just threatened the entire Galactic Council, I said. I warned them. Different thing. Semantics. Important semantics. Marcus stood up. Krell, can I ask you something? Honestly? Go ahead. Do you think I am wrong? About any of it? I considered the question. Thought about the suppressed application. The decades of isolation. The fact that humanity had been punished for winning a war they did not start. No, I said finally, I do not think you are wrong. But being right and being successful are not the same thing. True, but at least I tried. If they reject us, I can go home and tell my people I did everything possible. And then, whatever happens next, it is on the council. Not on us. You really think humans would start a war? Marcus sighed. I hope not. But hope is not a strategy. There are factions in my government that are tired of being treated like galactic outcasts, tired of watching other species expand while we are confined, tired of following rules we had no part in creating. I represent the diplomatic faction. We believe in negotiation, cooperation. But if we fail, the military faction takes over. And those folks, they are not interested in talking. How big is the military faction? Big enough. Growing bigger every year. Every time we are excluded from something. Every time a trade deal falls through because someone remembers we are human and decides they do not want to work with the dangerous species. Every time a colony ship gets turned away from neutral space because of the restrictions. It all adds up, resentment builds, and eventually it explodes. I sat down across from him. What do you think will happen in there? Honestly, no idea. Could go either way. Thrix has a lot of influence. If he pushes hard enough, he might convince them I am a threat. On the other hand, Chorus seems sympathetic. Vex is angry about the suppressed application. There are fractures I can exploit. Maybe. You talk about this like it is a game. It is a game. Just one with really high stakes. Diplomacy is always a game. You make moves. Your opponents make counter-moves. You try to predict outcomes. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose. The trick is to play well enough that even when you lose, you still gain something. We sat in silence for a while. Then Kelm, my young officer, appeared at the door. Sir, the council is ready. They have reached a decision. I looked at Marcus. He stood up, straightened his jacket, and smiled. Well, here we go. Win or lose, it has been interesting. We walked back to the grand hall. The mood was different now, calmer. more controlled. Whatever decision they had reached, they had committed to it. Vex stood at the center of the circle. Marcus Cole. The Council has deliberated. We have reviewed the suppressed application. We have discussed your arguments. We have debated the merits and risks of human inclusion in galactic affairs. And we have reached a decision. Marcus said nothing. Just waited. I had to admire his composure. If it were me standing there with my species' future in the balance, I would be a wreck. The Council has determined that Ambassador Thrix acted improperly in suppressing your application, Vex continued. He will be formally censured. However, we have also determined that your methods of arriving here were unacceptable. Crashing a diplomatic summit, evading security, and making implied threats against the Council are serious violations. Here it comes, I thought. They are going to kick him out. Therefore, Vex said, and I swear she almost smiled. We are placing humanity on provisional membership status. You will be granted a seat at this summit. You will participate in negotiations that affect human territory. And you will have 6 months to demonstrate that your species can operate within the framework of galactic law. At the end of that period, we will vote on full membership. If you succeed, humanity joins the Council. If you fail, the restrictions remain in place, possibly forever. The chamber was silent again. Marcus stared at Vex like he could not quite believe what he had heard. Provisional membership, he said slowly. We get a seat, a voice, a chance to prove ourselves. Yes, Vex said. Do not waste it. Marcus turned in a slow circle, looking at all the delegates. Some were glaring at him. Thrix looked like he wanted to personally throw the human out the nearest airlock. But others, including Chorus, were making gestures of approval in their various species-specific ways. Thank you, Marcus said, and for the first time since he arrived, his voice had genuine emotion in it. You will not regret this. I promise you. Humanity just wants a fair chance. That is all we have ever wanted, and you are giving us that. So, thank you. Do not thank us yet, Kestra said. You have 6 months to prove you can follow the rules. 1 violation, 1 incident, and this provisional status ends immediately. Understood, Marcus said. We will not let you down. The session adjourned. Delegates filed out, talking amongst themselves. Some angry, some curious, all of them aware that something significant had just happened. I walked with Marcus back to the docking bay. His ship was still there, surrounded by guards, but now they were relaxed, no longer treating it as a hostile threat. You pulled it off, I said. I honestly did not think you would. Neither did I, Marcus admitted. I was maybe 60% sure this would not end with me dead. Only 60%? I am an optimist. We reached his ship. Marcus turned to face me. Krell, thank you for treating me fairly, for not shooting me on sight, for being professional even when I made your job a nightmare. It is what I do, I said, though I would appreciate if future human diplomats used the front door. Marcus laughed. I will pass that along. No promises, though. We are not great with following standard procedures. I noticed. He climbed into his ship, then paused at the airlock. One more thing. Those cookies. Did anyone try them? I do not know. Well, if you get a chance, have one. They really are good. And Krell? Tell your security team they did a good job today. It is not easy dealing with humans. We tend to make things complicated. That is an understatement. Marcus grinned. Yeah, probably. The airlock closed. The ship powered up. This time, when it requested departure clearance, we granted it. The vessel lifted off, rotated, and headed toward the exit port. I watched it go. Kelm approached me. Sir, do you think they will succeed? The humans? I have no idea, I said honestly, but it will be interesting to find out. Later that evening, after the delegates had returned to arguing about mining rights and trade routes, I found the container of cookies in the docking bay where Marcus had left them. Most were still there, untouched. I picked one up, examined it. It looked harmless enough. I took a bite. It was delicious, sweet, rich, with little chunks of something dark and bitter that somehow made the sweetness better. I ate the whole thing. Then I ate another one. Thrix walked by, saw me eating, and stopped. "You are consuming the human food?" "They are called cookies," I said. "And yes, they are excellent. They could be poisoned." Marcus ate one in front of us, and I have been monitoring his biometrics since he arrived. He is completely healthy. These are safe. Thrix hesitated, then reached into the container, took a cookie, bit into it carefully. His mandibles stopped clicking. He took another bite. "These are acceptable," he said grudgingly. "I praise from you. Do not misunderstand me, Krell. I still believe the humans are dangerous. But perhaps they have some value. These cookies prove they are capable of creating something worth sharing." "Maybe that is the point," I said. They brought something to share. Even though they knew we might reject them, even though they knew they were not wanted, they still tried to connect. Thrix made a sound I could not interpret. "Perhaps. We shall see. 6 months is not very long. They will fail. And then the restrictions return." He left, taking 3 more cookies with him. I stood there in the empty docking bay, thinking about the day, about Marcus Cole and his impossible entrance, about the suppressed application and the provisional membership, about the fact that humanity had just forced its way into the galactic community through sheer determination and strategic cookie deployment. Six appeared beside me. "Sir, I have been reviewing the security footage from the human's arrival, the way he evaded our defenses. I have run the simulations 17 times. There is no way that ship should have made it through. The odds were astronomical." "And yet he did," I said. "Yes, sir. Which means either he is the luckiest being in the galaxy, or he is an even better pilot than we thought. Or possibility 3. Which is, he had help. Someone gave him our defense protocols, our firing patterns, our system weaknesses." I looked at 6. "That would imply we have a security breach." "Yes, sir. A significant one. Run a full investigation. Quietly. I want to know how Marcus Cole obtained information he should not have had access to." "Already started, sir. I will report findings as soon as I have them." I nodded. Took another cookie. The sugar helped me think. 2 months later, I received a report. Humanity had sent formal delegations to 17 different council sessions. They had participated in 12 trade negotiations. They had proposed 6 new treaties, 3 of which were adopted. They were following every rule, exceeding every expectation, being model members of the galactic community. It was suspicious how well they were doing. But then again, that was humans for you. When they decided to do something, they committed completely. The 6-month evaluation came. The council voted. 32 in favor, 5 against, 3 abstentions. Humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic Council. Marcus Cole was appointed as Earth's first official ambassador. He showed up to his first formal session in proper diplomatic attire, carrying a briefcase instead of a bag of cookies, and gave a speech about cooperation and mutual respect that made half the delegates cry. Well, those who had tear ducts. Thrix voted against the membership naturally, but even he admitted, privately, to me, over drinks one evening, that the humans had surprised him. "They have discipline," he said, "when they choose to use it. I did not expect that." "They are full of surprises," I agreed. "Indeed, though I maintain my position that they are dangerous." "Of course they are," I said, "but so is everyone else in this galaxy. The difference is, now they are dangerous and allied with us instead of dangerous and isolated from us. That seems like an improvement." Thrix clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "Perhaps." Time will tell. 5 years later, when the Void Collective attacked the Outer Rim colonies, it was human ships that arrived first. Human tactics that turned the tide. Human soldiers who held the line while the rest of the galaxy mobilized. They took heavy casualties, thousands dead, entire fleets damaged. But they never retreated, never surrendered, never stopped fighting. And when the war ended, when the Void Collective was pushed back and defeated, it was Marcus Cole who stood before the Council and proposed the treaty that turned former enemies into trading partners. I retired from security work 3 years after that. Too old. Too many battles. Too many diplomatic incidents giving me stress-related health problems. But before I left, I visited Marcus one final time. He was in his office on Earth. Actual Earth. I had never been there before. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds, a planet that had survived everything the galaxy threw at it and come out stronger. Krell, Marcus said, genuinely happy to see me. This is a surprise. What brings you to Earth? Nostalgia, I said. Wanted to see the human homeworld before I retire. It is not much, Marcus said modestly. But it is ours. We talked for hours. About the summit, about the war, about everything that had happened since that day he crashed Station Harmony with a bag of cookies and a complete disregard for protocol. Do you regret it? I asked. All the risks you took? All the rules you broke? Marcus thought about it. No, because it worked. We got our seat at the table. We proved we could be trusted. And now we are part of something bigger than ourselves. That is worth a few broken rules. What about the people who wanted war? The military faction? Still there. Always will be. But they are quieter now, because we gave diplomacy a chance, and it paid off. Sometimes the best way to win a fight is to avoid having it in the first place. I left Earth that evening with a gift from Marcus, a container of cookies. Chocolate chip made to the same recipe as the ones he brought to the summit all those years ago. They were still delicious. And as I flew back to my homeworld, I thought about humanity, about their stubbornness, their creativity, their absolute refusal to accept defeat or exclusion. They had not been invited to the peace talks. They came anyway, and in doing so, they changed everything. Sometimes the best decisions are the ones that break all the rules. And sometimes all you need to change the galaxy is courage, determination, and really good cookies.